everybody, it is Nia, and today we're going to be talking about ARMS, the newest IP from Nintendo that was shown at the Nintendo Switch presentation. So just in case you guys haven't heard of ARMS before, or you're kind of confused as to what ARMS is, if you didn't get a chance to watch the presentation or any gameplay from the Nintendo Treehouse, ARMS is a 3D fighting game where you aim your character's extendable arms to knock out your opponents. And just like in a shooter, your aim does matter. You do have to be precise in the way that you extend your arms to attack your opponent. And due to the motion controls inside of the Joy-Cons, if you guys watch the presentation, you guys will see that there's a lot more functionality in them. You've got the IR pointing, you've got the haptic feedback, and there's also something inside of the controllers called HD rumble, which I'm not really sure if HD rumble and haptic feedback is the same thing or not, but it seems to be a lot more advanced and a lot more sophisticated than the motion controls seen on the Wii and the Wii U, and the haptic feedback that you would see on maybe even the Xbox One controller right now. And so, you know, based on the way that it controls, I feel like ARMS could be a really dope and fun experience if you're just looking for some quick and lighthearted fun. And so a couple of details about ARMS is just like any fighter, the game mechanics consist of mostly movement, which is vertical and horizontal with your jumping, punches, blocking, and throws. And in ARMS, your character has customizable items that you can equip to your character before the match. Like for instance, with a character by the name of Spring Man, he replaces his punching gloves with a boomerang or a trident for differential gameplay mechanics and for strategy. Also in ARMS, there is a charge or a special meter, so that whenever you fill up your meter or your special gauge, you could unleash your fury on your opponent and just kind of go OD on your opponent. It looks pretty nifty. Also, one of the things that I really enjoy in ARMS are the mascot characters, and that's pretty much any character that has a very exaggerated design and has a very special and specific type of play style. And it kind of gives me a similar vibe as a game like Splatoon, like with the Inklings, and even a game like Overwatch that is based around mascot characters and heroes that kind of pride themselves on their differential gameplay mechanics. Each character has their own different personality. They have different kits or traits. They have their own victory poses that kind of encompasses their personality. For example, you've got Spring Man, who I think is one of the main characters that you see on the box art. But Spring Man, he has an overall balanced approach in his gameplay. He's pretty much a balanced brawler, while a character like Spring Girl is more jumpy and aerodynamic. And then there's also another character in the game called Master Mummy, who looks really dope, by the way. I think he's probably my favorite character so far that I've seen in ARMS. His design is dope. His characteristics are dope. I really like him as a character. But Master Mummy, he's more of a tanky type of character where he's big and bulky and kind of on the slow side, but he can take a beating. Like I mentioned earlier, the HD Rumble haptic feedback provides a feeling of the extendable arms actually unraveling out of your hand. So I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever played on the Xbox One, but the Xbox One actually has haptic feedback in the triggers, and whenever you're shooting, you can kind of feel like the gun recoiling, and it kind of gives you this more immersive type of experience when playing the game, and it kind of makes you feel like you're actually doing something, you know what I mean? Like that extra little rumble, it just feels right in games. And so I'm assuming that the gameplay that we're going to be seeing from the Joy-Cons in the ARMS game is going to be a more sophisticated version of that. So you can actually feel the extension of your character trying to bash that thing that you have equipped, whatever item you have equipped, into the other character. And I'm a person who has a very favorable opinion of motion controls. In my opinion, I really enjoyed the Wii. I mean, I had so much fun with the Wii. I love playing games like Red Steel and Skyward Sword and Wii Sports. Like, those experiences were really fun to me because they were different than what I was already getting on my PlayStation 3. And I think that when they're done right, they're a very exciting proponent to games. And I think that ARMS is going to be one of those games that utilizes motion controls very well, and I'm really excited to get my hands on it. And also another component of ARMS is the arenas. The arenas are, you can interact with them in certain ways that can help you change the tide in the match. For example, in ARMS, there are, components inside of the arenas or the rings that have destructible characteristics or characteristics in general that could change the tide of the match. In one arena that they showcased in the Nintendo Treehouse Live, if you combo hard enough, you can break the center of the ring to reveal like a trampoline, which could help you get, a little bit of height in the match that could help you in defeating your opponent. Also, in another ring that I saw in the game, there are tall columns, pillars that reach toward the ceiling where you can either hide from your opponents to avoid attacks, or you can even break them down if your opponent is hiding behind them trying to escape, so you can grab them and catch them and beat them to a pulp basically. So I just thought that was really interesting that they're not going to be some ho-hum type of rings and arenas in this game. Another thing that I found interesting about the demo rings in this game is that there's some rubber edges on one of the arenas that you can actually bounce off of to kind of give yourself a vertical advantage by changing your vantage point. So I thought that was really interesting as well. Also, when you're comboing effectively, you can disable your opponent's arms for a short time to get in more attack damage. So say, I'm Springman and I'm fighting against an opponent. If I hit the opponent's arm at the right time when they're trying to attack me, I could potentially disable them and kind of have them pause for a second, stun them for a second, so that I can get in a little bit more attack damage. I thought that was really cool. And I know that a lot of people are kind of off-put by motion controls because it's something that Nintendo did during the Wii era. The whole console was based around it, and pretty much if you had a Wii, you're pretty much over motion controls. But me, on the other hand, I personally think that motion control gaming is a lot of fun. And it's actually something that I wish that Nintendo kind of would have used more and actually tried to perfect, to use them better in games. You know what I mean? I think that as far as motion control games on the Wii U, there weren't really that many. There were a couple, like, for example, Pikmin 3, which works really, really well with motion controls. And then, of course, Splatoon for a more accurate aiming. So I'm really looking forward to ARMS. I kind of miss playing games like ARMS from the Wii era. So moving on from that topic, the budding developers at Nintendo have been bringing a certain freshness that I think that Nintendo honestly needs. You know what I mean? Like, I love Mario, I love Zelda, but games like ARMS and even games like Splatoon are kind of hinting at a newer direction that Nintendo is headed in the modern era. And I know a lot of people are kind of like so about current Nintendo, but I personally think that here lately, Nintendo is really trying to do things new, but for whatever reason, people aren't really taking to it, you know what I mean? Like, Splatoon was new, it won all kinds of accolades, and I think that if people give ARMS a chance, ARMS could potentially do similar things to Splatoon, but maybe on a lesser level, just kind of depending on how the game launches and what all is inside of the game, what type of content that it has and things like that. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but at E3 2014, around the same time when they announced Splatoon, Miyamoto and some of the other higher ups kind of discussed something called the Nintendo Garage, and I actually wrote an article about this on SheAttack.com about the Nintendo Garage. And they're basically a group of developers who meet after hours to come up with game ideas. And the Splatoon developers are one of the budding developers that came out of that whole concept. And I think that ARMS is pretty much is pretty much along the same vein, just kind of based on how it plays and what it looks like, and even the art style reminds me a lot of Splatoon, you know what I mean? So I think that this is going to be good for Nintendo. I don't think that the budding talent, the young talent, I don't think they're done yet. I think that after seeing the success of Splatoon, and even with Splatoon getting a sequel, this might mean that we'll be seeing a lot more new things from Nintendo's younger developers. And to me, that's one of the most exciting things about ARMS, aside from the actual gameplay in general, is the fact that Nintendo is branching out and letting these younger developers come up to the forefront and show what they can do. Like, that's really exciting to me. That said, before, you know, I go in on ARMS and I put on my ARMS fangirl shirt and my hat and things like that, there's a couple of things that I want to see more from ARMS. Like, for example, will there be various game modes in ARMS? Will there be a non-motion mode like there is in Splatoon? I would love to be able to play this game with motion controls because I am favorable to motion controls, but it would be awesome if they could also incorporate traditional controls to bring in people who might not be much of a fan of the whole motion gaming thing anymore. Also, I want to know, are there going to be more than 5 playable characters for the full retail release? You know what I mean? Are there going to be like maybe DLCs or things like that that come in the future? I would really like to see more characters, see what they can do with this universe. I think that it could be really, really dope. And I was mentioning this to my boyfriend a little bit earlier today. I would love it if they would have like a parody of Little Mac in this game, because this game, it's basically Punch Out with extendable arms and steroids. It's so funny, man. I would really like to see that in the game. I also want to know, how many arenas will there be? You know what I mean? How many game modes will there be? Will they be able to maybe do some type of tag team mode where you and another player will be able to fight against 2 people on the same team while you guys are on one team? You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see what they could do, you know, or maybe make some kind of mode where you have like 3 versus 3 or something like that, or it kind of be like a dodgeball mode almost, or something crazy like that. I would love to see, you know, Nintendo kind of show us some really wacky multiplayer modes in this game. Also, most importantly, I would really like to know, how is Nintendo planning on selling this game to the masses? You know what I mean? Because they have to get people excited for this game. There's kind of a little weak fanfare for this game at this point, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that Nintendo's presentation in general was kind of mixed. It had a lot of mixed reception, but I think that if Nintendo can show some more of this, like maybe have a direct centered around ARMS and show us why it could be a fun experience, there might be more people who are willing to give it a chance. Because I would love to play this game online, but it would be kind of a moot point if they bring out this game and it doesn't really have much of a community to ensure some kind of semblance of longevity. But anyway, this game is really on my radar. I'm really looking forward to seeing more in spring. Tell me what you think about ARMS. Are you looking forward to seeing more? Are you pleased with what you see? Are you not interested at all? Let me know how you feel in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.